Is this Nobob or Nobob?
Yes.
Which one?
Nobob.
Nobob? Okay, cool, thanks. And you're in Titusville. Thanks for calling.
I've been to Titusville. What's up?
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
I just have a couple, I don't know, I'm first time calling, getting a little nervous. My first question is, did you guys research all the religions, or did you guys just research Christianity and then come to a conclusion that there's no God?
Well, it would be impossible to actually research all of them. So my process, after I could no longer call myself a Christian, I didn't identify as an atheist, and so I started investigating other religions, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, the major ones, and then I realized that this was going to take forever. I have a standard joke that I started with Buddhism because I realized it was going to take a long time, so I wanted to find out if I only had one life or many lives to possibly investigate this. But then I kind of did a short circuit and realized that I don't need to... I'm happy to investigate and consider the claims of any religion, but we need to look at this at a lower level. What kind of God might exist, and the arguments for the existence of God. The arguments for the existence of God don't really differ between Christianity and Islam and Judaism for why they think there is a God. It's just they're arguing about the specifics of the nature of that God and the specifics of the individuals involved with this. And so it doesn't make any... Why would I spend a lot of time listening to somebody tell me how wonderful they think Jesus is or how awesome Muhammad was if we haven't established any good reason to think that there's a God in the first place?
I see. And what do you guys know about Islam?
Oh,
how far did you guys go? Like, with your
bits and pieces. I know it's a kind of
Islam.
It's kind of a bag on the side of Christianity and Judaism. It's kind of combines ideas of those things. It's supposedly a revealed religion. There's a lot of controversy in the Quran about the various passages therein, as far as whether they're incite violence or not. The God of Islam is the God of Abraham. It's the same God as of Judaism and of Christianity. So there's really not much difference as far as the God question, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm all up for if you have evidence for your God, bring it on. Let's hear it. That's
the point. As far as my understanding is, if we can define God, and then there is a contradiction because you cannot really define God because God is not the creation, God is the creator.
Okay, well, if you can't define it, then you can't possibly have a rational justification for accepting it. If you can't define it, then you cannot comprehend it. And basically you're saying you believe something that you can't comprehend, and I don't see why anybody could or would do that.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is if God is in the creation, that means that God is a created, where we believe that God is not a created, and if you can see it, if you can feel it, if you can imagine it, then it's in the creation, which means God is a created.
That's nonsense. That's simply not true. I mean, I can imagine things that aren't in existence, and clearly you say not to define God, but you are defining God by saying what God isn't, that God isn't in creation, and you are imagining something. You are imagining a construct. So you have to do that. You have to do that in order to even talk about it. I mean, something that's completely non-defined, we can't even begin to have a conversation about it, and you couldn't possibly have a rational justification for believing it. So this kind of tap dance that people do by saying that, oh, God isn't defined. Well, what they really mean is that God isn't well defined, that they are accepting this ill-defined abstract notion, because as soon as they start to define it too much, it crumbles away. And there's no reason, the evidence doesn't support the claim.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is, what I'm saying is, you can say what God is not, but you cannot say what God is. like God is not
Then
a liar, God is not...
So then he's a truth teller.
Right.
Okay, and if God is not in the universe, then he's outside the universe. See,
Right.
you can't do, when you say that all you can do is say what God isn't, that's also about what God is. That's exactly what the definition means.
Okay, I didn't understand.
So if you can't define what a God is, why should anybody believe what you think a God is?
Because to me, if we say God is a human being, that means there is more than one God.
Well, I'm not saying God's a human being. Who said God's a human being?
I'm just giving an example.
I don't know what that's an example of. I don't see that it touches on Don's question or what we were talking about. Don was asking you, why should people believe this? And you said, because if we say God's a human being, then there's more than one God, which had nothing to do with what we were talking about.
Or it could be anything in the creation.
I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that God has to be in creation or any of that. We're asking you, why would anybody believe that something exists if they can't comprehend it and don't have a definition for it?
Okay, when I say God is a creator and not the creation, what is your think process?
I don't see any reason. I don't know what you mean by creation. I'm assuming you mean the universe, everything.
Everything, yeah.
Okay.
Everything God is.
I don't see that as a creation. I think that's a dishonest argument. I think that by calling it creation, you're trying to smuggle in the fact that there was a creator when that's a fact that needs to be demonstrated. So instead of creation, I would say reality or the universe and everything, and you need to demonstrate that there actually is a creator of all of this and that it's an intelligent agent. You don't just get to assume it.
Okay, so I was just trying to understand. That was my question. And until you have the physical proof of God, you say that there's no God.
No.
We don't believe.
So first of all, it's not a matter of you summing this up as physical proof, because I'm fine with reasoned arguments that are supported by evidence. But we're not saying there is no God. We're saying we do not believe there's a God. There's a big difference.
Okay. Oh, that was my question.
We're still looking for somebody to explain to us why we should believe, and nobody seems capable of doing that. Nobody, and usually, the people that try to present a logical argument end up presenting a fallacious argument, or we get stuck kind of doing what we're doing here, which is, we're not really going to define this, or it's something that you can't. I hear this a lot more from Christians than Muslims, but it's that your intellect cannot begin to touch God and comprehend it. And my answer is, okay, then I can't possibly believe it, and neither can anybody else. I mean, you've got to be able to at least define what we're talking about and then demonstrate why anybody should believe.
That because Islam, we believe this is our test that there is a God exists who always existed. This is the test for the hereafter, where we say there is a God, where we believe and we have to worship, which means the owner.
Nobob. What you're telling me what you believe, not why you believe it. When I say why should someone believe this, and you say in Islam we believe it's our duty to believe. Okay, great. Congratulations. I think you've accepted a duty without any good reason. I'm wondering what the good reason is for accepting this.
The reason is, for my reason, that the book, the Quran, I believe that it is the Word of God, because for me to believe, I did research, and what I needed to know, that's what I got in my brain. So in my conclusion, I came to a conclusion that he exists, and I had to.
So why do you believe that the Quran is the Word of God? Because, if somebody were to say, is this the Word of God? Is this the Word of Don? Is this the Word of Steve? I would have to have a good understanding of Don or Steve first to determine whether or not this book is from them. So how on earth could you begin to use a book to prove the existence of what, or conclude that it's God that wrote the book?
Islamic belief is we know that the Quran is a speech of God, not what...
How do you know?
Because it came through Angel Gabriel.
How do you know?
What was that again?
How do you know that?
Because it was a speech, it was a message from our Prophet Muhammad.
Okay, and so because Muhammad said it, it's correct.
Right.
Okay.
Because we follow him, yeah.
Yeah, but why should we believe that Muhammad is correct? Couldn't he have been wrong or lying?
No, because in the history, no one knows, most Islamic, as far as I know, he's an honest man, he never lied.
Well, okay, first of all, as far as you know, he never lied. I find that absurd because everybody lies. But the other thing is, you're accepting the word of somebody that you believe to be truthful about extraordinary things.
Unless they can prove wrong.
No. That's not the way reason works. You don't believe something until somebody proves it wrong. You withhold your judgment and you do not accept that it's true until it's demonstrated. And the mere fact that somebody who you think is honest tells you something. I mean, my mom is honest as the day is long. But if she tells me that she was abducted by aliens last night or that angels came and tied her shoes together, I'm not going to believe her because that's not enough evidence. Just the fact that somebody honest tells me something.
Okay.
And I also don't see any reason why anybody would think. Matter of fact, I find it patently absurd to claim Muhammad was 100% honest and never told a lie. I find that to be just absolutely ridiculous. Of course he told a lie.
Well, tell me why. How do you know that he told a lie?
Was he human?
Yes.
Okay.
Humans are fallible.
Don't humans lie and make mistakes?
As far as I'm concerned, yeah. But
okay.
But
is there anybody that you know of other than Muhammad who has never told a lie or made a mistake?
I also believe Jesus never lied.
Okay, so you think Muhammad and Jesus are the only two people who ever lived who never?
There are all the prophets. Not all. There are prophets that also we believe they're sinless. They never lied.
Sure. So you've picked out a handful of prophets, and you believe that they've never lied and never made a mistake. And why do you believe that?
Yeah. My question was about the definitions of God. But we're going somewhere else, feels like it.
Well, yeah. I'm just asking. You say you believe this because Muhammad said it, and he never told a lie.
Right.
Well, that reminds me of George Washington and the cherry tree. What reason do you have for thinking that he never told a lie and never made a mistake?
Because of his history.
Do you know everything that ever happened in his entire life? Were you there?
No, I don't.
Okay, so you're basically just believing that he never told a lie and never made a mistake because you don't have evidence that he did.
Right.
Do you have any evidence that I've ever told a lie or made a mistake?
Well, as far as I know, I don't know anything about you, basically.
Okay, so
except I don't even know your whole name.
Okay, my name's Matthew Wade Dillahunty. I've got it on my driver's license. And as far as you know, I've never told a lie or made a mistake, right?
Right.
So add me to the list of your prophets and take it when I tell you that believing something because someone who you think is truthful said it doesn't mean that it's reasonable to accept that it's true. You have it on the word of Matt. Thanks for calling.
Okay.
Did you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
We're not going to.
Thank you for the call.
All right. Thank you.
Cool. I like it when we both recognize we're not going anywhere. So much more fun.